Hi, I'm June Mellinger, and I've been a sewing educator for many years. Today, we're going to talk about how you can take a flying geese block and make your own custom pouch cover for your e-reader. So let's see what to do. Over here, you can see that I've already constructed a flying geese rectangle. I've taken 3 more and I've stacked them together in this column, and they're kind of flying away from me, but now I've got this attractive flying geese setting, and I've added 2 side sashing blocks so that it kind of expands it, and I can put my e-reader in horizontally. So what I'd like to do next is attach my stitch in the ditch foot to my machine. And the next thing I will do is use that foot to follow the edge of my seam, and I'm going to have pre-selected the distance that I want my stitching to take place from against the seam. And I also elongated the stitch length to about 3 millimeters. It's following the seam, and it's going to give me a perfectly straight stitch when I'm done. You can also use your stitch in the ditch foot to stitch around the geese to kind of enhance them and make them look like they're definitely flying away. So let's take off this foot, because now we're going to attach our overcasting foot so that we can do an overcasting stitch around the edges of the fabric to give it a neat, clean finish. You know, if you have a serger, you can also use your serger for a clean finish. I've selected an over edge stitch. I've set my machine, my presser foot down, and as I'm sewing, it's going to sew back and forth along the edges and give that clean finish. And you can see there's a pin there on that overcasting foot so that the stitch can form perfectly over the edge. So when I'm all done sewing, in this case, I've sewed the 3 sides together. When I'm all done, I'll be ready to take this and actually set it atop the other completed square, and then use a straight stitch to sew the 3 sides together. After that, I'll need to attach some binding. So on a previous series, there's actually a great tutorial on how to attach that binding exactly. But I'll be ready to simply take this, and you can see where I've pinned it already, and I'll be able to sew a seam diagonally across here, and this will be how the completed seam looks. And then I'll be ready to sew that shut. You can see how I've attached it, and then I need to finish it. So in this case, I've attached it to the reverse side, and I've folded it towards the front. I've used my edge joining foot so that I can have that follow along the edge of the fabric and the binding, and then I've sewn a nice top stitch there. Across the front of our table, you can see the finished results of these pouches, whether you're going to add the sashing or simply leave the sashing off and slip your e-reader in on a vertical position. I've used flying geese in other ways to make pouches, and when I was practicing making flying geese, you can see how many I made, and I alternated the columns, and I made this neat runner for my dining room table.